Another stage in the rapid sketch technique. So far I think I've been working on it for about 3 hours. And what I'm still doing is finding the proportions, finding that position, finding that relaxation and a moment of peace within herself. So this girl is sitting there in the sunshine, enjoying the heat of the sun, blowing bubble gum. The cat I've just put into position to make sure that it fits into place and isn't, I don't end up without, not being able to fit it in, basically. I've popped the fish on briefly, again, just to get a sense of the balance. So as I'm getting close now to starting to sculpt the figure, I need to know that everything is right. So now I can turn the whole thing around without having an accident and check the composition. I've got here, I've marked the hips. This distance from here to the ground is the same as the length of the neck on a human being, because that is the same distance as the hips to the perineum. And when you're looking at the way that anatomy goes together, what you're after is a system that enables you to build a sculpture effectively. So it becomes, you have to do it in order. Just in the process of carrying on with the rapid sketch, so I thought you'd be interested to see what's going on in my mind, what's happening, what I'm trying to achieve. So I've put the whole sculpture together. So the fish is now in place. I've popped the little cross cat into position as well, so that I can get a sense of the balance of the whole composition. That's what I'm trying to achieve. And making sure that she's in this lovely relaxed attitude, enjoying the sunshine, blowing her bubble gum. In order to do that, I'm using a few little tricks that I think you might be interested in. I've created what's called the pelvic triangle. It looks like a pair of knickers that she's wearing here. That is carefully measured, so it's all in scale. It gives me the center of her pelvis, which you can see by the pencil mark here, and the two pointy ends tell me exactly where her pelvic points are. That's very important because it gives a sense of balance and continuity to the pelvis itself. The pelvis has got to work on every level, from front to back, side to side. It in effect forms a rhomboid shape like that, with these 2 points here representing the pelvic points, and where the end of my index fingers are represents the sacral dimples. So it forms a rhomboid shape like that. That rhomboid shape's got to be perfect. It can't be like that. And that happens very easily because you cannot see the front and the back at the same time. But if it is out of balance, the sculpture will become skewed. And as you turn it around, it just won't read properly. So just by making sure that these measurements absolutely tally front to back, you are ensuring that nothing will catch you out that is very difficult to solve. So the pelvis, there's 3 bones that come together with the pelvis. They have to be symmetrical. The same thing with the rib cage, it has to be symmetrical. And then we're getting this sense of movement and balance within that movement, absolutely as we want it to, because we know what we're doing. And that's the key to this. So I've used a couple of other little tricks. One is the clavicles. So I have carefully measured the clavicles and then put in 2 bent pieces of bonsai wire into position. That gives me that lovely backward sweep of the clavicles without having to invent it and create it every time I come to sculpt them. They go into position and stay there, so I'll sculpt over the top of them, but it will enable me to find them again should I need it, and it just makes life easier for me. Moving around to the back, here I've cut out 2 little scapulae. they will stay in position as well. And they're measured and calculated so that they join to the end of the clavicles of what's called the acromion process. And I find this little technique incredibly helpful because it pushes the scapulae together, it helps me to see them exactly as they are in position, and it builds up a symmetry that I don't have to think about very much. So it's all there to help me to get a desired effect quickly and simply without having to constantly measure and remeasure as the sculpture develops, because the measurements have already been fixed in position. What else can I tell you about this? This is the mark for the hip itself. So that's measured from the knee to here and from here to here. And the height of it is the length of the human neck in a perfect body. So the measurement from the hip to the perineum is the same as the length of the neck. So that's all carefully calculated, and it's more difficult in this position because her neck is stretched here and compressed here, of course, as she's thrown her head back to enjoy the sunshine. The way that I've put the sausages on, they're linear strokes, I call them sausages. They're carefully calculated as well. So generally speaking, a female's rib cage comes down on either side at 60 degrees. So I've got a little tool here that gives me the 60-degree reading for a female rib cage. A male's rib cage tends to come down at 90 degrees. So the two inner parts, the medial aspects of the rib cage coming down from the xiphoid process, they're 60% in a woman, 60 degrees in a woman and 90 degrees in a man. And since she's a woman, it gives me a lovely measurement. It also defines the lines here of her dynamic curves coming down to the hip. So I know that I've got beautiful symmetry and lines that run together, giving the sculpture a lovely deep sense of proportion. So when you're reading it towards the end, it just has a lovely aspect to it. Everything feels just right. So all of that's deliberately built into it. It doesn't happen by happen chance. You can do it by happen chance, but it takes forever to do it. And frankly, in my commercial world, which I've been part of all my life, I haven't got time for that. I haven't got time to work it out by trial and error. It has to be done by conscious knowledge, and I find that much more exciting, frankly. It's just a much more exciting concept. It gives you something that appears in front of you, as I've already hinted at before. So that just catches you up on what's happening at the moment. I've decided that a tummy button would be about there because this area here has stretched quite considerably, actually, from the xiphoid process to the top of the pelvic triangle. And I'm going to crack on now and let you see what's happening as the sculpture develops.